Hi guys, I forgot to say this on Tuesday, so I'll say it now. October is the month of my birthday, a day I won't mention because I hate the crushing reminder of my mortality, cat-themed YouTuber or not. Just for a hint, it's on a Friday. And on that token, I figured in place of a birthday message, you guys could donate to the International Association for Premenstrual Disorders, or IAPMD. For those of you who don't know or don't remember my campaign last April, premenstrual disorders exist, although they're highly underdiagnosed. Some of the most infamous are PMDD and PME, or premenstrual exacerbation. Some people even have both. Symptoms can include intense premenstrual symptoms that interfere with your daily life, intense depression before your period, and physical symptoms like tender breasts and cravings. Oftentimes, these symptoms stop a few days after you begin to menstruate. The IAPMD provides resources to people with premenstrual disorders or people who believe they might have them, such as counseling, video chat groups, and screenings. To anybody who thinks they might have a premenstrual disorder, knows anybody who does, or might, or is just struggling in general, let me make it very clear. You are loved, you are wanted, and you got this. The coldest night of the coldest year comes right before the spring. Now on with the video.
What? What? What are you looking at? I can fight you both. You don't know what I go through every day.
A tragedy is greatest time. What? The effing F happened to Chris Griffin. It's either because of Robot Chicken, or Buffy, or PETA. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about Family Guy, or more specifically, Chris Griffin, and to a lesser extent PETA. It's PETA. The former is a character many people forget, probably more so than his own sister. As has been a running theme in my Family Guy videos, the show has been responsible for many modern trends in adult cartoons, often the most infamous. And one of those is the fat idiot loser's son cliche. This even seeped into King of the Hill of all shows, where Bobby in the later seasons went from a quirky yet endearing kid who had a talent at winning people over in spite of his weight, to an idiot loser who could not get a date to save his life and was treated more like a 7-year-old rather than a young teenager. Yeah, thanks Chris. Thanks a bunch. But to be fair, this is not totally Chris's fault. When you peel below the surface like an Olga onion, you start to realize that Chris is actually a pretty good kid, or at least he used to be. He has plenty of talents and skills. The problem is, he can't properly apply himself. He needs people to tell him what to do. He has horrible role models, and he is easily led astray, which meant that his father saw him and ate up his potential like a plate of English muffins with butter. So let's discuss. Chris is the middle child of the Griffins and the eldest son. While Meg is the polar opposite of her mother, Chris is the spitting image of his father, besides being a blonde. I guess Meg's real father is a guy named Sam Thompson. Maybe ditto applies for Chris. However, as time went on, Chris became an overweight slob and a big idiot bully. Who is to blame? Mr. Booze Not. Okay, do I really have to repeat myself? It's PETA. And in a way, it's super sad. In the earlier seasons, Chris and his father had a very close relationship that produced many fine episodes. And if I'm dying, I'm lying, the pair have been bonding over a new detective show called Gumble to Gumble, much to Lois's dismay. Strangely, it's not because she's a bad parent this time around.
Yeah, me and Dad haven't missed a Gumble to Gumble yet.
Well, you're gonna miss this one, young man. His report card came today. No more TV until your grades improve.
What makes this better is how Lois says that Peter should help Chris with his schoolwork.
Peter, I want you to help Chris. Kids do better when parents take an interest in their schoolwork. I saw that on a 2-part report on Dateline Tuesday and Dateline Tuesday.
Wow, imagine if this were the newer season, she would not give a damn. Too bad that while Chris was grounded, Gumble to Gumble was cancelled, and this is before DVR and on-demand features. Wonder why?
But I wanted her freaking money.
Oh, I guess this is why. Peter and Chris decide to get their show back on the air by lying and saying that Chris is terminally ill. That way, that not Make-A-Wish Foundation can put the show back on the air.
Got his wish today, thanks to the Grant a Dream Foundation.
Yes, I know that's not the name of the organization in this episode. To be honest, I'm just too lazy to look it up or type it in. It's just easier for me to say. However, the Not Make-A-Wish Foundation head guy refuses, and he sounds strangely like Vlad Masters.
Everyone thinks their dying child is special. But these days, people who donate money to our foundation demand a little more bang for their buck.
Wow, he's one crazy Fruit Loop. At least until Peter makes up a fake disease for sympathy points.
He's got a very rare disease called tumor syphilis. Why,
that's the sickest boy I've ever seen!
Now, if it's not obvious by now, I think the biggest hero in Chris's life, both before, during, and after this episode, is his father. And while this isn't necessarily a problem in the earlier seasons, where Peter did mean well, as time went on, it became a huge problem. As Chris tried way too hard to make his father happy, or be like him. What I like most is how Chris does recognize they're doing a scam, and he questions some stuff.
This is just another one of your crazy schemes.
This whole thing was your idea.
You'll find out.
Dad, you're not making any sense.
But Peter always finds a way to get him to follow, especially when he lies.
Well, congratulations. Gumble to Gumble is back on the air.
All right, Dad!
The thing is, Chris doesn't realize there's a time and a place for lying, and it's when you go to the movies and they ask about your age, or if you're hiding food. So he starts to use his condition to get out of doing stuff like schoolwork.
I didn't study for this test, but I got a good reason. I'm dying. I have a certificate to prove it.
You're excused from the test, you brave, brave boy.
What a do-I-cut Gale. Because of Chris, the Cohort residents now think he really is dying, and to get out of it rather than just say Chris miraculously got better because miracle, Peter says that he healed Chris.
Chris is all better. I cured him.
You cured him?
That's right. I have divine powers. Okay, safe drive.
Clearly, you've never seen American Chopper, or Pawn Stars, or most reality shows for that matter. Instead, they now think that Peter is a healer guru, and this garners him a cult. Ooh, are they gonna make him jams and jellies? And God does not like that.
Oh, there's gotta be an explanation for all this.
You want an explanation? God is pissed.
Excuse me, Brian, could you please say that again?
God is pissed.
A little louder. I'm literally a week away from turning 24 and all, and I don't hear as well as I used to. Damn headphones.
God is pissed.
Ooh, Brian used to believe in a higher power. I sniffed you out. I know your game, Doug. Anyhow, I kind of disagree. I think the real reason God doesn't like it isn't because Peter is being sacrilegious, even though, yeah, that probably does play a role, but because he's neglecting Chris to be with his cult.
Hey, Dad, hurry up. You're missing Gumble to Gumble.
Some other time, Chris. Now, where's my shoes?
All Chris wanted this episode was to spend time with his father, be it watching TV or doing homework or lying. And while that was originally Peter's goal, he quickly lost sight of that. Not to mention, even after Peter tries to tell the cult he's not a healer and he apologizes, the plagues still continue because he didn't make things right with Chris.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop worshiping me! I'm just a big fake! I'm sorry, okay?
To teach him a lesson, at long last, we get the infamous plague of the firstborn son. What does it entail?
Peter, the final plague is the death of the firstborn son.
Oh no, Stewie!
The firstborn son.
Meg!
Your wife.
Chris!
Holy crap! Before Chris dies, Peter makes one final earnest apology, and this allows him to live.
Yes, son. And there's no reruns or commercials, and Kirstie Alley is still hot, and all those scrambled channels coming clear as a bell. Please don't take him, God. I'm sorry.
Now, I feel like Chris's problem is he's kind of like his sister. He's easily led astray by people who don't have his best interests at heart, or who do, just aren't good people themselves. While Meg is easily led astray by people because she wants some kind of attention or connection, Chris does it because he doesn't know any better, nor does he have any critical thinking skills. He's too naive naive for his own good. After all, that did happen in this episode's worst sequel, Fresh Air. Not air as in the thing you breathe or the Alicia Keys song, air as in you get money and stuff. Peter starts off one of the show's most awesome sauce episodes by being Father of the Year.
Are you busy? I was thinking we could spend some time together. Cause there's a 3-day weekend coming up and I thought maybe you and I could finally go fishing like we've been talking about.
Sorry, Chris, I can't.
Peter, think long and hard about this. Maybe Chris wanted you to go fishing because he wants to throw you off the boat with cinder blocks tied to your arms and legs. No, I'm kidding. But on the one hand, Peter used to have a job as a fisherman, so to me that makes it extra tragic. That would be like if Bobby told Hank, Dad, could you show me how to mow the lawn or how to set up a propane grill? And instead of being like, oh heck yeah, he'd be like, Bobby, go watch TV. Rather than spend time with Chris, Peter pawns him off on a bedridden Carter, because would you want to spend the day with Carter? And much to everybody's surprise, Carter and Chris get along super well.
Hey Grandpa, what should we do now? You want to order a pizza?
Well, that doesn't sound very exciting.
But now you can follow your order online.
It makes me wish Carter got more episodes with his grandkids if this is how he acts around them. Well, except for Stewie because of the incident with the knitting needles.
Wow, he's really fast.
Hey, I got an idea. Let's put in 2 different orders and have them race.
You think it'll crash the system?
Only one way to find out.
You know, I order on DoorDash a lot, and next to the Continental Breakfast episode, this was the most relatable Family Guy has ever been for me personally. It's always the one farthest away that seems to be the quickest.
So you can do that, like, what, once a year or something?
No, you can do it basically whenever you're not doing something else.
Cool. Hey, next time I want to try it with my hand.
Yeah, maybe Chris should not be spending time with Carter, or at least not like that. After one fun night together, Carter decides to rewrite his will to make Chris his sole trustee.
I have decided to change my will and name my grandson Chris the sole heir to the Pewterschmidt fortune.
What? Oh my.
Well, look at Chris. He didn't even have to work for it like Gina did with Max.
Daddy, you're seriously leaving your entire estate to Chris? I mean, what about Mom?
I promise she'll be dead before I am. I promise.
No comment. But in a way, I feel like it makes the most sense for him to make Chris the heir to the Pewterschmidt fortune over anybody else. He obviously should give something of value to Babs and Stewie and Meg and Carol and Heck and Patrick simply because they're his family. But he saw what happened last time Peter took over his business. Lois has made it clear she doesn't want to take over because she doesn't know the first thing about it. I'm sure Carol is similar to her sister. Patrick is a scandal waiting to happen. As far as anybody else knows, Stewie's just a baby. Meg is Meg. Babs wants to retire in luxury. And Chris, well, there was that one episode where he went to private school. He has powerful connections now, thanks to Grandpa. Carter is huge on nepotism. To him, Chris would be the only, quote, viable successor.
Grandpa, I don't even want the money.
See? This is exactly why you should get it. So refreshing.
Well, I don't want it either.
Good, because you're not getting it.
For some strange reason, Peter now decides to be a fun father to Chris, because clearly it has nothing to do with money. In his own words,
So if you ask me, we gotta start sucking up to Chris right away.
What? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about brown-nosing Chris and getting on his good side perk.
Peter, you're gonna hit Chris's prostate before he gives you that money. And I think you remember what happened the last time you did something involving prostates. When all else fails, mostly because of this.
Chris, our bath is ready.
I don't know what to do now.
Oh, I guess you wish you took Chris on that fishing trip after all. Peter decides to go with the community property plan. Wait, Rhode Island's not community property, it's common law. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Actually, that would be funny if they pointed that out. The point is, Peter now wants to marry Chris for his money in the state of Vermont.
When you're married, you get to spend all your time together doing things like playing catch and going fishing, right?
Yes, Chris.
Then yes, I will marry you, Dad.
I'm surprised this was not a national story, on par with Stan kidnapping Libby immediately after she was born. And that's all I'm gonna say, simply because other YouTubers have said it better, and my microphone can't handle anger. They go through all of the motions until at long last the Griffins show up to stop the wedding.
How did you find out about this?
Peter, several people have called the police about a man marrying his son. It's not normal.
See, that's kind of why I feel like they should have gone with the whole national story angle. Earlier in the episode, Peter did divorce Lois. That way he could marry Chris, and they never resolved that really.
Lois, wake up. I need you to sign this legal document.
Perhaps she could be the one to go to the news and tries to stop the wedding from happening. Or her father does it, because if Peter marries Chris, he gets his fortune. And maybe it's better than outright disinheriting his new favorite grandchild. Or this could resolve the status quo, and I don't know. Lois tells Chris not to go through with the wedding, but Chris has his own reasons for doing what not even Damon and Rhaenyra would.
I know he's marrying me for my money, but I don't care. And if being married means I get to spend even more time with my dad, then it's worth it.
Oh, you poor baby. No, you poor baby. Do you remember the story of billionaire Max Jets and how he died on his wedding day? Or what about his son Jerry, who died when his fiancée, who was also coincidentally his stepmother, beat him with an oar on their honeymoon? Chris, I'm just saying this because I love you and not in a weird way, because I'm not Roger. Get the fudge out.
Yeah. And I guess I learned it's wrong to take your son to Vermont under false pretenses to try to marry him for his inheritance.
You should have known that.
Anyhow, let's not forget the episode. A picture is worth $1,000. Well, more like $5,000. That's a weird title. On Peter's birthday, the family goes to Bob's Funland, where after making a fool of himself, Peter is confronted by the park owner, Bob Funland, who he knew back in high school. How exactly?
Used to kid this guy all the time. Bob misses his mommy. Bob misses his mommy.
You know, it's screwed up, but I could see them doing the same thing to Clyde. But the situation is quite ironic. Bob was bullied, but he made something of himself in spite of it. And Peter, the bully, is a blue-collar slob who drinks way too much and barely makes enough money to support his own family. Karma! After being kicked out, they take the party back home and distribute the presents.
Look, it says, "Happy birthday, Daddy. Love, Stewie."
Wait a minute, let me see that. Did you forge my name?
Everybody's favorite part. I'm sorry. I'm like an introvert, and that just puts me like at the center of attention. I appreciate the presents. It's just that sometimes when I do it, it makes me feel like a zoo animal on display. For his birthday, Chris gives his father something better than a tie. Oh, he was listening to the sock puppet.
Here, I made you a present.
My God, it's good.
It's partly an expression of my teenage angst, but mostly it's a moo cow.
Ooh, I guess I kind of see it. Maybe it's like Rocco's Modern Life. Peter decides to take it to work, and while he's in the car with it, he attracts the attention of an art dealer, Minotti.
Minotti? Antonio Minotti?
You've heard of this man?
Ho, ho, ho. He's only the biggest art dealer in New York.
Minotti says he'll pay $5,000 for the picture, and better yet, he'll hang it in his gallery in Soho and send the family to Lower Manhattan for an all-expense-paid trip. Ecstatic, Peter goes home to tell everybody the news.
But I painted that just for you.
I don't feel bad, Chris. I didn't even want it.
I hope you choke on that painting. Lois objects, but Peter has his own reasons.
Our son has been blessed with a great gift, and I'm going to do everything I can to nurture that talent and help him succeed. And then I'm going to use him to live out all my frustrated hopes and dreams.
At least he's honest this time around. The Griffins end up in Soho, and Peter boasts about his son. Would anybody willing to listen?
My son here is going to be the best thing to happen in New York since Mayor Giuliani had all the homeless people secretly killed. You guys have any bellhops that are rats like the Muppets?
Wow, this episode is old. I think the only good thing the Muppets did in the last few years was Haunted Mansion, and that one TV show that really should have gotten a second season. Chris's gallery is held at the MoMA, with Peter as his manager. The thing is, when it comes to fame, there's a kind of a sort of cost. There are bridges you cross you didn't know you crossed until you crossed. Peter is ordered to go sightseeing.
Why don't you folks do some sightseeing? I promise you, if you leave Chris in my hands, the name Griffin will be as well known as Kandinsky.
Which, dude, you're like right there. You got like a free vacation, go. Well, Chris is made to look presentable as an artist, which includes a D-bag haircut and a new name, Christabel.
Oh, trust me, painting is the least important thing about being a successful artist. You need an image. Let's take this Rhode Island lump of clay and turn it into the toast of New York.
He sounds like a fancy Portuguese restaurant. And better yet, he gets a girlfriend in the form of Kate Moss.
You're not gonna throw it over the edge, are you?
No. Yes.
Peter, we all know that won't work because of air resistance. If anything, it would just hit you on the head and, like, hurt for a second. Stop preaching this misinformation. To make matters worse, Bonatti has a new rule. To get big, Chris can't talk to his family ever again, which would be good if it weren't for the fact that this were the earlier seasons.
What? Christabel, the art world is a place of culture and breeding. Your father is, Your dad is a pig!
Now, something noticeable about Bonatti is he's a more firm version of Peter. They even share the same voice actor. Peter's not the best role model, but he does love Chris. Despite his intentions, Bonatti just wants to make a buck off of him and nothing more. He doesn't care how it'll affect him or anything. It's no wonder Chris does everything he says, especially when Peter tells him he has to. Later, Chris follows orders and tells his father to go away.
I can't see you anymore.
What the hell are you talking about? You're my son.
Mr. Griffin, he's going to be a great artist. He now belongs to the public.
And Peter makes Meg his new, God, what's that word when you try to mooch off of someone? Oh, meal ticket, yes. But Meg isn't as easily exploitable, and she can only do bird calls.
Hey, you want to go crap on the Statue of Liberty?
You know I have lived here my whole life and I have never been there?
I've never been to the Empire State Building.
That's how you know you're a New Yorker. Eventually, the Griffins are invited back for one final art unveiling. There, they see that Chris has changed, and not in a good way.
Oh my God, are you Kate Moss? Oh, for someone with no breasts, you've done very well for yourself. Good for you.
Wait, I thought models were encouraged to be tall and have small boobies. Oh, I only meet the one criteria. At the end, they see Chris's new art exhibit.
Hey, that's not art. Amateur.
Hey, that's my dad! Except for that one. That's my dad if he were a cat. He's the whole reason I'm here.
What? It's a natural fact that he's dressed like a cat.
You can talk to my daughter that way, but not my son. Now apologize.
The hell I will. You owe me for all that money I invested in your worthless son.
However, I don't think it's unfair to say that Peter is the one solely responsible for Chris turning out the way he is. Just most of it. To me, Peter gave Chris the expectation that if you want to make it in life, you have to look up to people who are bigger and better than you, and dig your teeth and your claws in and never let go, just as we saw here. However, I don't want this video to be totally biased, and we forgot about another adult in Chris's life. Lois would know you. In Jungle Love, Chris starts school at James Woods High, and at first he's pretty excited, even if he's dressed like a waiter banker, until he learns there is a hazing tradition for freshmen.
Oh boy, you better watch out for the freshman hunt.
Yeah, that's where seniors hunt down freshmen and nail them with paddles.
Don't worry, Chris, after they beat you like a slab of raw steak, they tell you about the pool on the 5th floor and sell you pool passes at a super generous price. Granted, this makes me wonder about Meg. Did she have to go through this? On his first day, Chris is apprehensive, but Lois reassures him that it'll be okay.
Chris, relax. The freshman hunt doesn't really exist. It's just a myth to scare freshmen. Freshmen!
Lois Patrice, you look like a pumpkin-headed Q-tip. Thank you, Con, for this lovely insult. Chris tries his hardest to avoid getting battered like cookie dough, and mostly succeeds. But he ends up in the cafeteria and gets beaten up by his own frickin' uncle.
Oh, I got you, you freshman. I'm going to teach you the lesson that it is not okay to be a freshman.
All all because he's a freshman. How dare he try to get an education?
No, I hate it. I never want to go back.
Oh, come on. It'll get better. You just have to find your place.
Well, maybe he would have found his place, Lois, if you didn't scream, "Freshman!" like the ice cream truck is outside and they're serving Tipsy Scoop. So to avoid the dreadfalls of high school, he signs up for the Peace Corps after hearing how Brian did it one time.
All right, Chris, we're approaching your assigned village. Tell the people to work together and drink clean water.
There, instead of finding out he bit off a lot more than he can chew, because he ain't gonna be chewing anything there, he actually thrives. The villagers are all nice to him, and they're very welcoming, and he befriends the village princess, Loca, who strangely isn't crazy despite what her name implies.
This is my daughter, Loca, my son, Hidalgo, and my cousin Vinny.
Hey, how you doing? Give me a word, any word at all, and I'll pronounce it funny for a nickel.
During the Festival of the Harvest, Chris references Wham! And makes a big village-stopping musical number, which of course means...
According to our customs, you are now married to my daughter. I couldn't be happier.
Well, if you're happy, then I'm happy, because after all...
What?
Chris decides not to come back and sends a letter to his family, and also the evil monkey.
He says he's not coming back.
Obviously concerned, they go to see him in South America. Ugh, lucky they took a plane. Chris got thrown out of one. What makes this episode extra tragic for me is that Chris, even though he went there to escape his problems, was doing all right.
We're married.
Well, maybe here, but not in America, where God pays attention.
And then the Griffins, or more specifically Peter, come and ruin it. Peter has $30 in his wallet, and because he's around a bunch of villagers, this means he's their version of Jeff Bezos. So Peter takes up camp in the village and makes life worse for everybody.
I've had enough of you taking advantage of these people. For God's sakes, the woman playing Elaine is a high priestess.
You can't spare one square.
As Chris realizes,
this is a wonderful place, and you're just using it to escape from your problems at home.
You just came here because you were being picked on at school. You're using these people to escape your problem.
True, Lois, but at the same time, Chris wasn't doing anything particularly bad to the villagers. I'm just saying, it would be one thing if he ruined their lives or he was mean to him, but he really wasn't. Besides, Lois, you never exactly apologized for the freshman. So, 6 of 1. To make matters worse, Chris is forced to go home because the Griffins announced to the world that he's a freshman.
I was afraid of being a freshman.
Freshman?
Oof. Is it any wonder he eventually pulled a Freudian Oedipus? Why do I say it like that? Well, first he does something with Meg.
I don't have the parenting skills necessary to deal with this.
And then we get Tom Tucker, the man in his dream. Chris starts to date a girl at school named Lindsay.
I told you about? Well, I asked her out, and now we are dating.
Hey. OMG, first Stewie has a weirdo relationship with his mother on Valentine's Day, and now Chris is gonna have one too, just not on Valentine's Day. Strangely, Lois doesn't notice because she's a giant narc.
You are gorgeous.
Well, she's awful pretty, I know that, Mom.
Are you kidding me? Are they not seeing this? I know, it's kind of creepy. It's almost like he's dating Lois.
Or she does, and she just doesn't want to say anything. However, it seems like Lindsay takes after Lois in more ways than simply her looks.
Well, we really haven't decided yet.
I'll think of something while I'm taking a chick dump in your parents' bathroom.
And I will hold your purse.
Wow, does Chris know how to pick him or what? Because this is not the only similarity. I'm surprised there wasn't some big reveal that she was Lois's cousin or something. No joke. Sometime later, Lois and Bonnie are having coffee when they see a ghastly saint.
Oh my God.
Hey, you know, she kind of looks like you, Lois. Maybe she'll thank me for buying the coffee.
Oh, come on, Lois. Would it be better if it were Gene Simmons? Maybe he could call her Loose Lindsay. Wait, that doesn't sound right. She's a teenager. I'm sorry. This now means that Lois has to tell Chris that his girlfriend is cheating on him, what he already knows about and he's totally cool with.
Why would you even date a girl like that?
Well, because I thought she'd be like you.
Like me?
Well, you gotta admit, Mom, she does look a lot like you.
Yeah, tell that to that weird bunch of rags you date later in the show. But seriously, people say Meg needs therapy? Well, I mean, yeah, but y'all are forgetting about Chris. Chris has self-esteem lower than the Mariana Trench, and he is a major people pleaser.
And I'm no prize myself. So I guess I figured if I don't find a girl just like you, I might never find anyone.
Not to mention his only real friend is a blue bathrobe old guy who wants to play bad touch. Please, somebody get this kid some help or a new family. To me, all of these factors together, it's no wonder Chris eventually devolved in the later seasons. Remember steroids? When Chris became a raging do you catch happy eggs? Okay, I gotta stop with these acronyms, they make no sense.
What if? Wait, now bear with me on this. What if I date a loser and make him over into a popular guy?
And Chris Griffin?
Oh my god, I could smell him from here.
Connie D'Amico decides to play My Fair Lady with a loser kid, and because Neil is only in the episode for a quick joke, and Smiley McGee gives me vibes that he likes eggs rather than birds or bees, and eggs are fragile and they can't defend themselves.
Hello?
Nah, I hear he's a bedwetter.
Connie tells Chris rather than ask him if he wants to go to the dance and forces him to change into her version of popular, which includes a stupid mustache.
Alright, good. Now let's give you a pencil-thin bag beard.
Oh, heavens, I look like a rake.
No, you look like you don't care, and that's good.
The fudge? The hell? What dream boy is this? He looks like he hasn't showered in 3 years, and if he does, it's with cologne. Like he kicks puppies for fun, and he manspreads when he sits on a plane. However, Chris readily accepts these changes, which impresses Connie.
And I hope I get to be with you for a long time.
Wow, no guy's ever said anything that nice to me before.
Well, maybe you've been hanging around with jerks.
Aw, to think Connie has a heart, or at least did, buried beneath enough makeup to make her rival a party clown. The pair start dating, and Chris quickly becomes popular. Meg, not so much.
It's at my house.
Connie, let me handle this. I'm sorry, Meg, you can't come. There's an to boob ratio that you're way off of.
Aw, poor girl. And to make matters worse, being popular is like wearing the one ring to rule them all, meaning he becomes corrupted, the same way his father would, or Roger when he's around the Jugendherberge.
How the hell can you be cheating on me? I'm the one who made you popular!
No, Connie, beating up that Jewish kid made me popular.
Sometime later, he throws a party and refuses to invite his sister because she's not cool, even if it's their own house. Like, what if Meg wants to go get a drink or something? Meaning all Meg has is Lois and Sylvia.
Okay, look, Meg, I've been at this for 45 minutes. I don't know what else I can say. Here's a Sylvia Plath book and a bottle of Ambien. I'm gonna look the other way, and whatever happens, happens.
Mother of the Year totally beat out Asia Weevil. Really look her up. It's so fascinating and sad. And worse yet, his father doesn't care because Connie will come around to the house more often, much to his pleasure.
Actually, my dad passed away 4 years ago.
Yeah, he did. He sure did. You gonna shower before dessert?
Hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husbands. Mostly the first one. The other two are probably fine. I already made my comment, you frickin' weirdo. Because Meg and Connie both have a common enemy now in the form of Chris, they decide they must band together and make him unpopular again. Which Meg has problems with because Connie isn't exactly the best Connie out there.
Are you kidding? Do you really think I would help you out in any way? You want my help? You can go yourself.
Hey, Meg, think fast! Loser!
All right, let's do it.
So they make Chris unpopular at the assembly when they show him reenacting that one scene from Silence of the Lambs.
What's that? Did you sit on something?
Chris Griffin's a freak! What a loser!
Peter, haven't you seen it before? Sorry, that sounds weird without any context. Just one quick question. Was this an inside joke? Apparently the reason Seth Green got the job was because he was the only voice actor who did not use a surfer accent for the character. And he describes Chris's voice as Buffalo Bill if he were speaking through a McDonald's loudspeaker. So were they making fun of Seth, or because Family Guy writers are manatees, Angreebees, as per South Park, they just picked one reference at random to make Chris seem more pathetic. This works, and Chris is unpopular once again, if not for life.
Connie, the person who humiliated you has himself been humiliated. By the rules of high school, you are now popular again.
Good thing Trading Spaces exists to give Peter some karma for walking in on the wrong time and commenting on his son's physical attributes. In the episode, Chris and Meg end up unintentionally crashing Peter's new motorcycle, which he won earlier in the episode.
Look, it was an accident, okay? I mean, you can always buy another one, right?
Buy another one? You know, I don't think you kids appreciate how hard your father and I work to provide you with everything we do.
Thinking the pair don't understand responsibility when it comes to work, I mean, how could they? Their father wastes all their money on the Statue of Liberty's foot and the Peter copter and stuff like that. Lois and Peter decide they will do a Freaky Friday switcheroo. Meg will become Lois and Peter will become Chris. Crisscross.
Yes, that is a crisscross.
Yes, face off.
No, Peter.
Roadhouse.
The thing is, the parents assume the pair would resent being adults and quickly apologize for what they did, but they're the ones who have trouble.
3 girls I don't care about made me cry in the bathroom. I hate your north side face.
And the other two, they have a knack for the thing. Meg makes really good dinners.
Here it is, gang. Seared ají tostadas, grilled asparagus, couscous, and for dessert, molten chocolate lava cake.
What is it with Seth MacFarlane shows making me hungry? First this, and then it's a roast squab with a burgundy pine nut reduction and truffle risotto. Oh, and how could I forget the toasted brioche? Meanwhile, Chris is somebody who loves to impress, and he ends up doing so well at the factory that he gets a raise.
It was actually really great. And Angela even told me I might get a raise for doing such a good job.
Wow, guys, you hear that? A raise.
I think it helps he does his job unlike his father. I know, I'm shocked too. So the experiment ends early because Lois and Peter are chickens.
You were right. Being a kid is a lot harder than being an adult. High school sucks, everything sucks. So let's just put things back the way they were and just forget all about this, all right?
What? Are you saying people are mean? Well, this is what they have to go through every single day. Now how's about you have a whole carton of cigarettes? But Angela is so impressed that even after the swap ends, she decides to fire Peter and replace him with Chris, who is still in high school.
Because you don't have a job anymore. Angela fired you and hired me. She said I've been doing twice as good a job as you did, so from now on, I'm the breadwinner in this house.
I mean, Angela did become the Princess of Alderaan when she was like 16. Meaning Chris now has to work at the factory until Peter finds another job. And the chances of that happening are more unlikely than the Cleveland show coming back from the dead. Chris is fine at first until Angela gives him more work because of the company downsizing.
That's not my department.
It is now. The company's making cutbacks. You can handle it. It's just a little extra paperwork.
And he also gets jumped.
Can this day get any more stressful?
He knew what your dad did, Chris, and he wanted revenge. Burned out like a used church candle, Chris ends up becoming Lifetime Dad of the Week.
Chris, have you been drinking?
Yes! Have you been aging?
Sick burn.
That pain in my stomach is back. Ow!
Apparently this is foreshadowing, you'll see why in a moment. Chris becomes increasingly stressed and angry at the family he did not birth or make, and starts to yell and throw fits.
No, you know what? Instead, let's just go knock on all the doors of all our neighbors and tell them I'm a failure!
No, that's not what
No, it's a good idea! Let's just go right now!
Oh, somebody's been following their home ec lessons until he goes outside and starts to have a literal heart attack from all the stress.
Oh my god! I think Chris is having a heart attack!
We're not supposed to leave the table!
I just say this was foreshadowing because apparently intense stomach pains can be a warning sign. Oh god, I get them so often, I'm surprised I haven't gotten heart attacks yet. Oh, I hope I didn't jinx myself. Chris learns his lesson, and with this, he is fine going back to being a kid.
Boy, I thought being a grown-up would be easier than being a kid. but it turned out it was just as hard.
But there is one final episode I want to talk about just to bring things full circle. I kind of implied it earlier. It's the marrying kind. See, I travel like a hell of a lot to do conventions, and one of the best perks of going to hotels is the free breakfast. Even though most free breakfasts end hours before I wake up, but that's neither here nor there. Seriously, why do they close before 11? And when I went to Kineticon, this episode was playing in my hotel room, and I found it hilarious. And bonus points, I was staying at a Best Western. In the marrying kind, the family travels to New Orleans to attend Mort Goldman's wedding to some nameless background character who deserves her own episode.
And you're all invited to our wedding this Thursday.
I can't go.
In New Orleans.
By myself. I have to bring my family.
Wait, New Orleans? They have Fan Expo down there. I should know. At the hotel they're staying at, which I think is Best Western, Peter and Chris discover the wonders of free breakfast buffets, where you get free food and then have to fight a jet-lagged 5-year-old for the last tater tot.
Every morning from 7 to 10, we serve a complimentary breakfast.
Complimentary breakfast? Imagine the possibilities.
Peter and Chris don't want the happiness to end, and now they feel spoiled.
Well, I'd advise you space cadets to come back to Earth because I'm only making one thing. Okay.
So they start to hit up every continental breakfast they can find, because this is Quahog. They have an airport. And I know the episode acts like what they're doing is super duper illegal.
I'm looking for a pair of half-brothers with different fathers from Finland.
Finland? That's the country for me. Oh!
It's done.
Oh, Finland? Oh, I was lying. I said England. But some people have said that most hotels don't mind if you sneak in, nor do they really check. Think about it. Most of the guests don't eat the free breakfast anyway for one reason or another, meaning if nobody takes anything, it's all gonna be thrown out. And it's complimentary. They're letting you have it. Act like you belong there and don't make waves. At worst, it's like bringing food into a movie theater or using a bathroom that's for customers only. A little immoral, but not outright illegal or evil.
No, there is a Best Western in Quahog.
Well, yeah, but don't we need a room key to get breakfast?
You mean like this one?
Oh, you dog.
Wait, I'm not telling my viewers to commit potential crimes. Disclaimer, I avoid myself of any legal obligations. Like typical heist, they decide to pull one last one by getting into the best breakfast buffet hotel in Quahog. The Suites. Well, actually, if we're being technical, the Suites. At the Point, at the Quahog, at the Harbor, at the Promenade.
At the Goofy Squirrel.
I'm not a part of the sign, but I am a little nutty.
Hey, I don't make up these names. They get inside and actually have a really good last meal, until Chris lets it slip that he's wearing a wire. Oh, damn. Peter escapes, and Chris ends up in prison for a long time.
I was sentenced to 12 to 15 years for hotel breakfast crime.
Really? Prison? You couldn't just tell them your grandfather is Carter? Like, I figured at worst he would just have to pay for all of those breakfasts. So like $500? On the bright side, at least he won't be alone all that time.
In the end, Dad figured out a way we could keep eating breakfast together. We just had to kill a guard or two.
And as you see, things have come full circle. Okay, with this out of the way, I think we all get the point. Peter Griffin is a bad father, a worser father than Brian, who took advantage of his own teenage son. But Chris, he's a good kid, or hopefully he should stay that way. If not, he can always hang out with a robot chicken, or a dude from Scooby-Doo, or wow, Seth Green's in like everything. I don't know, I'm gonna watch one of his shows. Bye!
Purse snatching. Society's fault or one man's cry for help? Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.